So we're fitting this, we're not really concerned about this right now. We're just wanting to make sure we can get this thing tucked up to the rail as far as possible. Then we'll figure out the placement, front to back. So we know we have plenty of room here for the actual face of the rail. So we need to trim this area off a little bit down to be able to pull it up around the rail a little further. So we will do some more clipping, and we'll just basically take this line here and just bring it down a little further the same way as we did here. Uh-oh, things causing problems. Okay, we didn't really gain much. What are we looking at here? Okay, looking, we're like, hey, there shouldn't be any reason why we're not fitting. So, okay. I don't know if it'll show. I think maybe I can show you on the front side here. What we have is the internal bits that we cut out from the screw bosses aren't letting us in. So, let's do a bit more cutting there and open that up a little bit more. We don't necessarily want to open it up all the way and just cut them completely out, because they will offer a little support and give us some more stuff to glue to when we get into the bonding process. But right now they're causing problems, so they must be removed. Oh yeah, much better. In fact, looking here, if we hold it at this angle, then it comes right up to the notch we cut for the rail and for the notch we cut out for the mounting face there, whatever you want to call it. So at this point, we can hold it up and it's a little higher, so we'll do the handle test again. Hold it up in here and go, ooh, yeah, that's nice. Ooh, that's nice. Okay, so, oh man, now just look at the way that the front of the grip here follows this line right here. That is like, oh, that's like divine intervention in modding. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Dang. Strange as it sounds, part of me looks at this and says, wouldn't it be cool if we just finished up the bodywork here and then blended this into this hole, blended it into where this I guess that's supposed to be a sling mount, and basically tuck this in a little better and then built the panel here, so it'd be a bizarre hole in the middle of the shell. But that might be kind of cool, but that'd certainly give it some distinctive lines. And now see, part of me thinks if we'd go changing the angle one way or the other, well, that's going to screw up the relationship of this with this line here. But if we move it back at the same time and bring it back more closer to the shell here, then it won't really be an issue. It just, how that happened to drop together just looks really, really cool. Wow, that looks really cool. And it feels really cool. But our coolness right now is being hampered by where this little bit here runs into this. So we do a little more trimming. So let's say, yeah, I think we may just clip this whole end out here, because I don't think there's any reason why we would need to leave it. So I think we'll just cut it clean open, and then we can just kind of slowly whittle away at this as we need. Clippers. Now at this point you may be asking, why the heck do you keep screwing this thing together and taking it back apart? Well, fitting stuff like this, I like to make sure the pieces are stuck together and that we're trimming both sides at the same time. Otherwise, if I just go, oh, this feels great, then it's hard to tell if I'm holding it really centered up in the middle of the shell, or if I'm not trimming off enough, or if I'm trimming off too much. Otherwise, you're having to constantly watch the center line and make sure your angles are right too. So if you put the two pieces together and you trim them at the same time and kind of fit everybody at once, then you can immediately check for alignment issues and stuff like that. Anyway. Okay, and we'll see where that got us. Gained us a little room. angle still feels nice. And just holding it, I think, well, never mind. I was gonna say, I think I might be able to trim off more across the front here because there's plenty of room where my hand is, but we're not using the amount of space we have already. So, you know, I think while we're at it, because we have space here, but we're running into it here, we'll trim this just a hair more so we can basically pull this up to the minimum, because I do want to pull this up as high as possible just to help blend everything in. So while we're at it, we'll just give this a quick little clip. Okay, looks like we need to go a hair wider. It looks like we're kind of slightly pulling it in, so let's open that up back up just a hair. Okay, now as you can see, we're maxed out here. Are we? Uh-oh, rules changed. Oh, well. Yeah, we are on the rail here, and we have just a little bit of breathing room here, so this is up as high as we really want to go right now. But looking at it right here, let's put it on the white background, maybe that'll help. Let's see, holding it, there we go. Holding it like this angle, you see that this line here is pretty much parallel with everything else, and that really kind of gives it a little more of a this is supposed to be here kind of look. So I kind of want to hold that line because, yeah, it looks like this line is pretty parallel and this line is pretty parallel, which, man, that just lines up with that. That's still cool. So I want to maintain that, like we said, but I think we can go even lower if we want to. But before we get cocky, let's get the back end caught up here. So looking at it, everything's pretty hunky-dory up front, but the back has issues. I think we're going to take the traditional route. Instead of trying to pie cut that and pull it in, we'll just keep things a little more simple to kind of show off more of the technique of fitting shells together, not necessarily this situation here on its own, because I've never come across this before. So I can't attest to its success or not. But I do know that it is running into a shell here and here. But first and foremost, it's running in here. So we will start trimming away at this guy right here. And go all the way. Just checking real quick. Yeah, I think we can come all the way up to this second, cut off the flat part and then this second break. And we'll go about the width of one throat of the cutters, which is a interval I use a lot when I'm cutting a decent amount of material off, because that gives me an actual increment of, okay, especially if I'm cutting two sides, I can say, okay, I basically the whole throat there and get even on this side. That way you do end up with an even cut. And I think I'll cut that at an angle like that. Stick it up in here and go, hey, we're doing good now, but now we're running into this. Oh, gee. So, let me look at, okay, this guy's flush, turning into that. So, gotta take this off. Alcohol, does this work? Got some alcohol here. Rubbing alcohol. Yeah, I don't do that. Hey, that's working. Read somewhere that alcohol took off Sharpie, but hadn't tried it yet. It apparently takes off the silver stuff. Okay, we can draw new lines. So, this guy up. Seem to be running into things right here. The height is pretty good. We got the height and the angle pretty well on. So let's carry that forward just a little bit. And we'll notch out to, there's kind of a subtle line here, or a break in the, or an angle here. So we'll notch that out. And that ought to put us in the ballpark anyway. Okay, I think we can come down now. Let's see, where are we at? Okay, I was eyeballing things here and then wondering how come we weren't coming flat all the way here. So I looked at the other side and noticed that we were getting bound up on this corner again. So I'm going to just open this corner up just a hair to hopefully alleviate any issues there. That looks goofy. That's not much better. And a little bit more. Ooh, okay. Okay, now that we're moving it back, we're running into an issue with this guy running into this. But if we kind of get up close, it's one of those points where you have to decide who goes. There's a conflict here, so do we clip this guy off or do we cut this guy off? I'm happier having this guy hanging onto the barrel and trimming this guy. Besides, this kind of just tapers off and goes to a point which kind of looks cool. But I think we'll forgive ourselves later if we cut it off. So we say that guy's causing problems. Just judging the ballpark, we're going to be in that area. So I think we'll cut off half of it right now, more or less. Okay, now we have a little bit of breathing room on this guy, and now we're back to dealing with this, which, if we hold up here, is like, hey, that looks all right. And for the heck of it, we're gonna stick a magazine in, because we want this to look cool with the magazine in, so we don't want to have the grip here causing problems. So we hold that up and say, that looks pretty cool, but just pass the feel test. And it feels pretty good. So part of me was just looking and noticing that this angle and this angle aren't quite as parallel as I thought they were originally. And I think it would be okay if this piece kind of tapered up a little bit, and if it ran into, had a nice relationship with this area here, to where we can blend, the bottom of the magwell into the grip and have, we don't want it to like flow. We want it to be this to be a distinct piece, because it'll probably be painted the same color as the grip, kind of the way it is now, to where it's like, hey, this is the grip, not here's kind of a lumpy textured piece of the shell. So I think I'd be happier having this little piece straight and having this piece kind of roll into this. So I think I am, see, there it was. I had a decision made and I backed out. Because part of me goes back to this and saying, but it's so cool these angles line up, and if we change that, well, you know what? For starters, we're going to move, because I do kind of like this angle and I'm okay with this. There is a bit of a step down before it, from the magwell steps down, up technically, but it comes and meets this down here in a kind of a valley. So I think if we move this back a little further, we can get it to lip over just a little bit by notching out. All right, here, just cutting this out about that much, and having the bottom of the grip kind of come up to or over the bottom of the magwell. That'll give us a chance to move this back a little bit, take in some of the space, without necessarily changing the angles quite yet. If we do decide to pull this lean it back a little bit more, then we're not lost. We just have to change the angle here a little bit. So this is a design decision we can make and still change things later without saying, oh geez, wish I hadn't cut that, now we're screwed. So we'll cut this straight right now, about right there. I think it's right at that line. Cut it straight down. Oops, come back. This guy straight that way as well. And then cut this guy straight across. Refit. Now see, that still looks pretty cool. Having this where it pretty much meets up to right here, and then it comes down. We could even carry it a bit further if we wanted to. Now we're running into this guy here. So I think since we're still up in the air on what we're going to do here, but no matter what, this guy needs to go. I think we'll cut him off a little bit more, maybe even just most of the way, because it'd be easier to, we can fill in this if we need to, or just leave it kind of a goofy little hole. Well, let's wait and see. So I think we will clip off a little bit of this. Maybe just half of what's left. Okay, now this still fits. We have a little bit more room here. Now noticing that since the stock here is getting wider, because it does taper a little bit down towards the bottom, now we're slightly overlapping this part of the shell and kind of, below the level here, which is also a cool blending way of doing things. And we still got that issue of, do we want to change the angle or not? Oh boy, that's a tough decision. Part of me still wants to pull it up a little tighter. So, look, going from this angle. Oh, here's a new situation entirely. Okay, holding it at this angle, I'm looking and noticing that, hey, there's a little bit of a gap at the, where it meets up to the rail. Well, I want it to come up a little higher. Well, now it's the corners here are running into this barrel part here. So we can kind of nudge off a little bit here, and that'll help that tuck in better. So I think we'll clip these little corners just a little bit. Let's see if that helps everybody sit together better. Okay, now we're meeting up pretty well flush here, and pretty well flush here, and have just a little bit of breathing room here. So that's pulling it together even better now. So just for the heck of it, since we've made quite a few changes, albeit slight changes, still changes nonetheless. So we pulled it up for a grip test and go, it still feels pretty darn cool. It's good feeling. You got like a little place for your thumb and everything up here. So that's nice. I'm still pretty happy with that. But almost as importantly, we need to assess how things are looking. So we take the whole grip into account. I think my camera's sagging. Hi, that's my belly. Up there. Okay, well, this guy's stuck in like that. Does it look cool? Let's get some of my junk out of the way. Paper, clippers, that guy. I do this a lot too, working on integrations. Make some changes and then stand back and go, does that look as cool as I want it to? I think that thing's got some attitude. I'm kind of liking that. One thing I want to check first, because I'm kind of thinking about moving this back just a little bit more so we can fill in some of this. That way all we have to deal with is just this hole. but I want to make sure this thing is drum compatible just in case. I don't know if the owner is going to be using drums in it or not, but it's always nice to have options, because I like options. So let's go find a drum. Hyperfire drum, no less. Okay. That thing looks cool with a drum in it. Anyway, okay. So, if we move this guy back, because when I did the Hellhound, I wanted to move the Baron back as far into the shell as I could, but I still wanted it to be compatible with drums because they're the most obtrusive, I guess. So, let's see, where's my... It looks like, since we have the extra material of the Centurion magwell over the Strife magwell, we have all the clearance in the world to where we could even take this almost a half-inch back further, which would fix that problem and give us very little to work with here. Whew, that's tempting. Huh. Why the thing looks mean with a drum in it. Boy, I like that. That's... Okay, and that's another important thing. Holding it up here and making sure it feels good with the drum in it. So you're not like, oh, I gotta hold my arm out of the way because the grip's weird. That is nice. You know, and this, just the way the grip is going, which just there again proves that you can hold shells together and pieces of shells together, and you can't always judge until you start cutting them together. My original plan, I was going to leave this magwell part lower a little bit, which there again I'm glad I didn't, because that would have caused some clearance issues here, and probably even worse with like 35 round drums. But my concern was having that deep trough look, because I was holding the grip way back here. Well, that doesn't look like the grip's going to be fitting that way, so it actually moves it up forward, so we're going to have to fill it up a little bit here, which is going to move the main body of the blaster and make it look longer, which gives it a lot more, it makes it a lot more aggressive looking in my opinion, especially there again, like I said, we're going to be, since this is molded together, we're going to be using this part as body color and then adding a little more material here. This thing's going to be kind of brutal looking. I'm just becoming more and more happy with how this is turning out. I'm not like patting myself on the back and saying I'm doing a good job. The build itself is surprising me, which is it's just the fun part about doing integrations, especially stuff that, to my knowledge, has never been done before, or they've been done differently in the past. And just as you put things together saying, wow, that looks better than I would have expected, or I kind of expected it to look like this, but it doesn't. But that's okay, because I'm really happy with it. I'm really happy with how this looks. And I think I'm going to move it back just a little bit. So, like we did before, where my Sharpie went, we say we want to go back just a little bit. The main problems right now are this guy and this guy. So we'll do just a little bit of a clip. Now that we're in the neighborhood, so we can be a little more conservative with our cuts. So we'll just kind of take just a little bit, and just a little bit about the width of the Sharpie mark, which there again, know which side of the Sharpie you're cutting on, or whatever material you're using. Actually, this brings it right up to the wall of this bottom screw boss. So we're just going to cut up right to that wall. And we may have to cut this one out, which isn't going to be a big deal because we have another one right there. So if we have to cut it, so be it. Okay, looks like we need to cut a little more on the front part. And a little bit on the other side. There again, we're pushing this back saying, hey, who's not causing problems? We have room. Oh, it's this guy again. Darn you. So I think we're going to lop him off the rest of the way and just try to cut him off kind of as flush with the rest of this line as possible. And we kind of expected him to be a problem, but we gave him the benefit of the doubt, and he disappointed us anyway. So, get him out of here. Pull this guy back in here a little further. Grip test again. Ooh, yeah, that's a little better. Yeah, that's okay. Just for the heck of it, we know that it's all drum compatible and not going to have any problems there. Plenty of room. This thing will be using most likely straight mags, or we'll just stick that guy in there and just make sure that it's still good and, more importantly, looks and feels cool. So, yeah, and you got a grip in there and shouldering it. Boom, 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 shooting bad guys. Okay. Checking to make sure we're fitting pretty good there. Well, I'm pretty happy. So, the next big issue is going to be filling up this big hole, which, to fill this little guy here, we do have some more of Centurion pieces we can cut out, which I think this, yeah, actually is that one? Yeah, it's actually this one, I think, that was the top part that we cut out here. This is the same area, but below the belt line there. So I think we can cut this guy down and just kind of fit him nice and neat in there. Then we can build a body line or just build a step here. Or what we might end up doing is putting that in there and then just basically creating a straight line from here down that'll fill up that hole. But at the very least, we'll get that piece, you know, cut and fit in here, and that should take up this area. Then what to do about down here? Let's see what else we got to work with. We got these guys, but that's pretty cool, actually. Oh, yeah. Hang on a second. Just kind of gauge how the. Oh, there's potential there. These guys here are cool. They'd be useful for something in the future. Actually, a fleeting thought. I haven't checked into it, but if we need to make motor covers for the other side, potentially using one of these as kind of a motor cover that's already got vents, which is kind of cool, and just kind of cut this off and make it look cool, and obviously tuck it in as tight as possible. I don't know if that'll work. I don't know if we'll even need motor covers or even anything that extravagant. We know we need to cover up the cage anyway, so we'll have to build something there, and we might be easier to just build something a little extra big, you know, to go on the other side to make room for the 180s. But anyway, back to this. I don't know what I'd use these straight pieces for, but I think just gauging if they're the right height. That guy's in there. Is that tall enough? That's actually almost the perfect height we could, I think. Let's see, how do we want to do that? Tapers in a little bit. I'm just thinking, because we have a short side and a long side of this. Either one is technically the face, so we can kind of put it however way we want. We can either have it come down straight and then tuck in a little bit last minute, or we can have the short side here and then it kind of flows down. And I think that would work because we have plenty of room down here to work with. Not sure how to gauge a straight line. If we can make it come from, let's zoom in. It's nice and close. Just trying to gauge what the area is we're working with depth-wise. So we can come down to like here where it, you know, comes in and goes flat, and we might be able to attach it there and come forward, and that might cover, for the most part, into this area and basically have the grip part here lap on top of it, which would be just phenomenal. That would actually be way too easy. In fact, something else we could do is even take another bit of this and use it, since that's a nice flat piece, to stick into these little pockets that we still need to fill. So, several decisions to be made. So I think that'll be our next step.